Yes. So, yes. Yes. Yeah, 29 Professor Ramachandran's package. So, it's a great pleasure to welcome Professor Umesh, Professor Malesh, Professor Ramachandran's students are also here. Professor Ramachandran's daughter, daughter-in-law. Yeah. So she has come from Bangalore. I think we are also expecting Professor.
Yes.
So she will join us very shortly.
My pleasure.
Welcome. Welcome our registrar evaluation, Professor Ramprakash. She is sitting here. And I welcome all of you to this. And I request Professor Umesh to tell us about the book. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Hemant Kumar, and my revered teachers, Professor Venkatramaya and Professor Shashika Prasad, and Chairman of the Department, Professor Chandrasekhar. Dear faculty members, members of Professor Ramachandran's family, students and friends. On April 9, 2020, we were given the news of the passing away of our esteemed teacher, Professor G. Ramachandran. Although he was not in a good health for quite some time, nevertheless, this news was totally unexpected, and many of us were distressed by the news. We all felt deeply saddened by this news. A few days later, somewhere around I think April 11th or 12th, Professor M.B. Nagarajamurthy, who was 1 year senior to me, I graduated in 1975. I was a student from 73 to 75, and Nagarajamurthy was 1 year senior to me. So a few days later, he contacted some of us, and he suggested that we should hold a fest trip in honor of Professor Ramachandran. And following this, for the next 2 months, we debated and tried to work out how to carry out this event. But as you all know, this was the COVID problem also started around that time. So much of it was dictated by how COVID was progressing. So on June 14, I received an email, and Professor Murthy suggested that instead of a conference in honor of Professor Ramachandran or offline meeting of that kind, it is better that we think of a commemorative book, which would be a collection of articles, and then we could get it released in an online kind of fashion. So this was the preliminary suggestion which got the entire operation started. And then we started seriously looking at how to get going with this. So on, we were planning to get the book ready by October 29th of 2020. Today also happens to be October 29th, 1 year later. But what we found was that our aim to get the book released on October 2020 was a bit too ambitious for a variety of reasons, and therefore the delay. In order to carry out this function, we formed a small team of seven students, all graduates from the department, and I will give a very brief chronology of how the things went. So that will give you an idea of what all went into making this book. Somewhere in from mid-July to August 10, we started sending emails to different people in order to persuade them to contribute an article. And we said that you should submit it by September 30th. Again, that was turned out to be very ambitious. Some articles were received by September 30th, but there were not many articles which were still pending. So the deadline of September 30th was keeping in mind that October 29th happens to be the birth anniversary of the professor. So we thought if we can manage it, it would be nice. But delays took place. Right in August itself, we contacted Professor Yogananda, who has compiled this book and edited it, corrected it. Soft copy was prepared by Professor Yogananda and his team. They have a software company which does this, and they also do publish books in a small way. By November 15th, we received almost all the articles, and the compilation of the articles started earnestly after that. It took about 2-3 weeks. By December 6th, we had the articles compiled, and then we sent it to the authors for their for editing and suggesting any corrections. So all this went on. By January 30th, we had all the compiled articles, and so once again, what we had to do was send it to the authors and get it checked for one more time. So kind of proofreading of the article went on from February to July. It was a long process. There were many communication between us and the authors, back and forth. So that took quite some time, and at that time, COVID was also in the most severe form all over. There were plenty of limitations to our attempt to get it done faster. Then around August 20, we had the print ready copy of the book. So once we had the print ready copy, we applied for ISBN. We meaning the publishers. The publishers are Sriranga Digital Software Technologies, basically a Srirangpatna based company, but they have an office here in Mysore. So once the ISBN number was obtained, we thought we'll get the book printed. But the process for getting ISBN also took quite a while. It was almost a month before we got the ISBN number. So this is in brief the history of how we went through manufacturing this book. And October 13th, that is 2 weeks back, we had a copy of the book which was ready for final printing. And what we have on the table is done very recently. I got these copies on 26th of October. So the book has about 37 articles written by colleagues of Professor Ramachandran, his colleagues at Institute of Mathematical Sciences, Chennai, ISI, Kolkata, University of Mysore, the students whom he taught, students whom he guided for PhD, and his admirers. All have contributed articles to this book. There are in all 37 articles. There's one article by his family members as well, and there are a couple of photos which we have put of Professor Ramachandran at one place. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the 35 authors who have contributed articles for this book. It was a pleasure interacting with all the authors, and we really thank them from our bottom of our heart. Some articles are technical in nature, in the sense that they are more physics based. There are many articles which are actually reminiscences of the persons who have written. In fact, the foreword is by Professor Venkataraman. Readers will get a good glimpse of Professor GR's personality when you read those articles. They will also get a bird's eye view of various topics on which he has worked in his research career. He has, I think, spent nearly 30 years in this department. So, you'll get a feel for what were the different topics on which he worked. The book will be available in both printed form as well as the electronic version. The electronic version may be available in about 2 weeks from now. There's some issues to be sorted out, and Mr. Sriranga will be publishing both the books. I wish to profusely thank Mr. Professor Yogananda and his team, as well as the printers, Messrs. D.V.K. Murthy, Prakashana, and also, for the extensive cooperation they extended to us over 1 year. We tolerated all sorts of correction, multiple corrections, and all that. And the printing of the book also, we are quite happy. And when we release the book, we have a glimpse of the quality of the book. So we are really thankful to the printers as well as the composers. Lastly, we wish to, before that, I would like to thank my team members. There were 7 of us who walked through this process. So each one of them have contributed very substantially to the effort. And I'd like to collectively thank pat our backs. We wish to dedicate this book to the lasting memory of our revered teacher, Professor G. Ramachandran. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Umesh. And he said we have sloth, but we haven't.
No.
So he is the one who did all the work. So I thank you on behalf of the rest of the editorial committee for this work. And now we go to the important part, that is book release by the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor G. Hemant Kumar, and his remarks. And, Professor Hemant Kumar was also familiar with GR, so we are honored to have you here, sir. Sir, your remarks?
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕೇಳ್ತಿದೆ? So today, I'm very happy to release this book, In Pursuit of Excellence, a tribute to G. Ramachandran. So I'm very happy to be here for 2 reasons. Because it is my department, and all are my teachers there. Professor Sister, Professor G. Somshekar, Professor Ramachandran, and all are was my teacher when I joined this department in 81 to 83. So all are taught them. So during that period, I was very happy and very lucky to have Professor G. Ramachandran was also teacher, but I didn't took this specialization. My specialization was not this. And but can you like it? the professor, the professor and team I was taking stress. And somehow we used to be in the department. G. Ramachandran used to discuss many things. I remember even today he didn't taught us much, but one seminar he used to take up for us, first year. That seminar, I remember the topic even today, is the superconductivity. I started the topic for 15 minutes, I think I spoke, and almost 2 hours discussion went on. So even today I remember, and this seminar, whenever he comes, so he used to take up the topic very deep. Students used to understand. That's the way a good teacher always motivates us. He has not taught me as a formal thing, but we used to discuss lot of things. So whenever we just in the front of library and other things, we used to meeting. Almost 45 minutes to 1 hour, we used to speak about physics. We used to speak about how the research should be, how what the paper should be. All those things we got it through him. So fortunately, his son was our student in my department, and his daughter was also teaching in our department as a statistics what we call teacher. She used to come. So we have got a lot of what we call connection with that. So his son was a very good student, and now he's in USA. Last month we had some interaction during my when I retired from the department.
He's there.
Yeah, he's there. Sign. So, so the second thing is this physics department itself was one of the very big and greatest department at the campus. Whenever we say that we are studying in physics department, it itself was carrying some weightage in the campus. So in that, the Ramachandran, when he used to take the class, all his what we call students used to say, no, their matinee starts, because he used to start by the class by 2 o'clock and leave by 6 o'clock. So they used to tell. And solid state physics, they used to say, if I miss 1 or 2 classes, we cannot catch up. So that is what they used to say in the specialized courses. So he's a wonderful teacher. Even today, everyone remembers. And about a teacher, about 36 students of in Mysore and also ISI Calcutta and IIT Chennai, IIT Chennai, all have written this article about him. So really, what we call is a tribute to him. So I think Professor Malesh, so he was which is subject only, used to tell us about the activities. Anyway, we are all lucky to have Professor G. Ramachandran as one of the teachers in this department. Those who have studied, those who have worked with him, those who have got the PhD guided with him, really they are all what we call fortunate, and all are in higher what we call level today. So I am also one of the person who was motivated. Even at the last 5 or 10 years back, he called me something about computer science. He wanted to do something. So some research, but what we can do, can you what we call do it like this? So he talked to me, of course, was in Bangalore. He could not take up that project, but still he had that interest. So such type of interested teachers, now whole generation is being vanished. So totally out of 660 teachers now, we have got only 280 teachers now. So in that we are running the show. So one generation, very unhappy that one generation is lost. Such generation, even we appoint, we cannot get such generation dedicated teachers. We cannot. So in that generation, especially, we had Professor Ramachandran. So never what we call, though he has left us, his theories, his what we call philosophies will be with us what we call in our heart. I once again thank all the authors and all the what we call organizers of this function, and also this committee who has made to make this book. That is one of the things which will be there forever. So what you are contributing to Professor G, I congratulate you once again, and thanks to this department. I'm very happy to come to this department because it is my department than computer science. Because I took computer science, it gave me money, it gave what we call position and all. But physics, I love to teach physics. Even today, I love to teach physics. So with this remarks, I thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So know, truly you belong to this department. And now I request Professor E. Venkatramaya, former Vice Chancellor of Coimbatore University, who was also Professor G. Ramachandran's colleague, to speak a few minutes.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತಾನೇ ಇಡೀ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಕಂಪು ಕಹಳೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಬಹಳ ಜನರು ಈ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವರು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಗ್ರಹಿಸೋಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗಿದೆ. ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Hemant Kumar, my good friend, Professor Shashir Prasad, all my physics friends who are here. I am thankful to the editorial committee for invited me to speak a few words on the occasion of releasing this book, which has a very wonderful title, In Pursuit of Excellence. This is a real tribute. I think that these students or anybody could really give to Professor Ramachandran, In Pursuit of Excellence. And of course, my association with him as a colleague, but unfortunately I had no occasion to have interaction with him in the field in which he was excellent. But I could gather from his students or from the way in which he was handling the classes and all that, and interaction with his research scholars and the students, that he was a very, very dedicated. The way I should call him, attribute Professor Ramachandran as a real classical teacher, because I don't think he used any modern gadgets. He believed only in chalk and talk. Chalk and talk for hours, as Professor Hemant Kumar rightly pointed out, maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes. I really admired his capacity, tenacity to do this. And I'm sure our friends will definitely accept that in between I don't think he was drinking any cup of water. Without taking a sip of water, teaching the students for 3 hours, 4 hours is something phenomenal. That was Ramachandran. Something remarkable. And I used to tell him, where do you get this energy to do this wonderful work? He would just laugh away that statement. Because, and he was not a very hefty person, very heavy person. I was astonished at the energy, the abundance of energy with which he was teaching. And it was not only the MSc students, but even for research scholars. I think he used to teach in his room itself. The blackboard that he had in his room was the one which was continuously used for discussing research issues with the scholars. I think that was something remarkable. And he, as far as I know, I think Professor Shashir Prasad will also agree that he never quarreled with anyone in the department. See, people, if they have the tendency, they can pick up some thread or something and do it. But Dr. Ramachandran, he had very good, and he, of course, his other close association with many of his colleagues. If you want to use the word close, that was not there. Because he would always keep sufficient distance between others and himself. But at the same time, he was a very dedicated teacher and a dedicated colleague. So that is something remarkable which we really admire and cherish in our memory, the quality of Dr. Ramachandran, of course, we used to see that he would walk the distance because he was staying in Saraswati. So he used to walk. Along with his research scholars. I remember Ravi Shankar used to go along with him quite often. And Ravi Shankar, this walker was not something to discuss anything else, only physics. He would always discuss something, some physics or the other while walking with the students also. That was the quality of Dr. Ramachandran. And I think from that point of view, he was a role model for many of the guides who would actually guide the students for research. And I don't know, the culture of conducting research colloquium was not there prevalent in many sections, but Professor Ramachandran meticulously followed colloquium for the research scholars. Something remarkable. And so that was Ramachandran. In fact, just in 1919, I think I went to Allahabad, it's called Prayagraj for the Triple IT. And there I give a talk, and that is some general topic, that is how to make physics teaching interesting by mixing the history of physics with the topic, how to make it interesting. That was the topic. Now, at that time, I met one gentleman who is the director of Baba Science Center, Mumbai, Professor Vijay Singh. Professor Vijay Singh was the colleague of Ravi Shankar in IIT Kanpur. And because I met him for the first time, and he said, "Oh, you're from my school. No, one Ravi Shankar." Immediately, I could not remember Ravi Shankar. Ravi Shankar, it took some time for me to remember Ravi Shankar. That they said, "Oh, you mean that student of Ramachandran?" Yes, exactly. So, he had, I don't think Vijay Singh had met Ramachandran, but Ramachandran was known to many people in the field because of his contribution in the subject. So that was Ramachandran. So, and of course, immediately, later on, Vijay Singh told me now I think Ravi Shankar is in Delhi, and he called Ravi Shankar over phone and tried to know whether I am really coming from Mysore University. Then he said, it seems he told him, yes, I know Professor PV because he was teaching us introductory quantum mechanics or something. He was class junior. So, that was so that way. What I am trying to say is that Dr. Ramachandran, very strangely, though he was very good in the field, contributed a lot, guided very eminent students for PhD, but he had he was not attending many conferences. That's a strange thing which I noticed in him. He was not attending many conferences. I'm sure if you agree with me.
There's a story behind that.
I don't know that, sir. So that is, but yet people know in the field who was Ramachandran and what is his contribution and all that. So this is, there are many things which you can tell about Dr. Ramachandran. And Ramachandran, of course, towards the end of it, after he left Mysore University after retirement, because both of us retired in the same year, 1937. 1997. And he was corresponding with me through email and all that, because we had some common problems with the temp pension case, because we had filed a case against the government university, and which of course went in our favor and got some benefit. Then subsequently also we are still fighting some The case still is there. Today, the case was there. I don't know what really happened. As you know, very strangely, when the single judge gave the judgment in our favor, the government actually issued an ordinance to nullify the judgment. And later on, they brought it, made it an act also, which was passed in the legislature.
And it can't be retrospective.
Huh?
It can only prospective.
It can be only prospective, but they made it retrospective, and that is the weakness in that. We have actually challenged it in the. If that petition was there today, I don't know what has happened. So, there were some common interest about the service matters between Ramachandran and myself and many others. So, friends, as I told you that there are many things that can be told about Dr. Ramachandran. Ramachandran was a very unique personality and very lovable person because he was a very gentleman. He was a very gentleman, and we had very good relations during our tenure in this particular department. It was a very I think fortunate thing that Professor Ramachandran joined this department from Mathematical Institute. Because solely after that, I think many bright students got an opportunity to do theoretical physics. Many remote. Very happy that all of you have joined together to bring out this wonderful book. It will be a reference book probably for people who would like to do some research in critical physics. We really compliment all of you for your effort. Once again, thank you all of you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You brought up some very interesting issues here and also very interesting things which you only know about Professor J. Ramachandran. Thank you very much. Now I request Professor J. Shashidhar Prasad, former Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore, who was a long-term colleague of Professor J. Ramachandran and who always had soft spot for his students. Because I know, so I request him to address this thing.
Professor Venkatramaya was my teacher. Sorry, I'm the oldest student, I think. Professor Hemant Kumar, my colleagues in the department, and probably relatives who are watching through the video conference. Even Professor Ramachandran joined this department, I knew that I belonged to theoretical physics, and many of the students, Nagarajan Murthy, Ravi Shankar, they were all my students earlier. And I used to get a lot of inputs from them about Professor Ramachandran. And Professor Venkatramaya mentioned about Ramachandran not interacting with people, other colleagues here. The reason is this: that most of the vice chancellors, administrators who are observed by physics faculties, they are placed at number 1 because they never used to rub shoulders and never used to rub our backs. They used to mind our business in our rooms, and that is one of the reasons why never we used to interact with other people. We used to just mind either lab or in our room. I think this is the only department where we didn't have much politics or no politics at all. So that is probably the reason why we never used to interact here. And because I know many times my Professor Chandrasekhar used to sit in his room, and I never used to see his face for 3 days. Was my guide. So I think this was the situation. So therefore, I think that is one of the it's a good thing that has happened on this campus about physics department. Maybe other reason maybe also there that he was a little bit reserved also, not trying to get to interact with people. And many times, that my colleagues actually used to complain about him. I know that because I was chairperson and dean, they used to complain about. I used to just brush as I don't worry about that. Leave alone. Because I know that it has been there even when I was the research scholar in this department. but never it could never come out in public. That is why everyone thought Mysore Physics Point is #1 department without any problem. Even though we used to have many problems within probably, but we would always fight in the staff, in the meeting, in the council room. And when we come out, we just again walk out without any problem. I think that is how we maintain the department. That is why I think even now just appreciate physics department because of this reason. Even as an administrator, I have seen how this department worked actually. And I've heard from many people about his abilities as a theoretical physicist. My colleagues, because I used to have a lot of interaction with outside people, either TF or BRC, Institute of Mathematics, I had many good friends. So they used to tell good things about Professor Ramachandran and his abilities and his academic excellence and so on. That's why it is in pursuit of excellence. He was an excellent teacher, no doubt, and also an excellent researcher also, which was generally it lacks in any university system, particularly in this area of theoretical physics. And he did a good job here. And I think most of his students, I'm very happy to say that they are very good positions, they got into very good positions. And probably one thing I can mention here, which you may not be knowing. Even the Mysore University signed an MOU with the BRC for neutrino observatory and to station their lab here in Mysore University. I think probably Ramachandran was partly behind that act. The reason is our students, Nagaran Murthy and others approached me and they told, why don't you speak to Nigve at that time. I think, no. Anil Kakodkar was the, so he asked me whether I could speak to him and all that. So I'm sure that Ramachandran must have given this idea to his students. The reason Nagamurthy approached me, we just contacted, but finally we were able to sign a MOU on a Sunday in Mumbai. So I think that is how I think even though he was a theoretical person, I think he had an inclination towards this experimental aspect, which may be has helped in trying to analyze rather through the most of the theories. I think that was the idea with which he must have told Nagamurthy. I think most of you are not aware of that. I'm sure that he was behind it to some extent. And I think other than that, I think like as Professor Venkatram mentioned, he was not sociable, etc. But other reason why he never went for conferences, he was very orthodox. Very orthodox, I tell you. And I used to tease him actually. Many times I used to tease him. I was told in IASC, once he went there to stay for some time, he had taken a stove vessels and all that. I know that. He had told me, because my colleagues, I know IASC have been interacting with 1975. So they told, they are telling with me actually, this Ramachandran doesn't like to food in the canteen or he tries to cook even some rice and probably he was modern day Ramanujam, I think. So that is the reason I never. So that he had expressed with you many times. I can't take food outside. So that is why I told I know the reason. And other than that, I think I never used to interact, but only a couple of times I did rub with him. So there are some issues on administration, but I don't like to tell those things now because I am probably my students I am a very hard taskmaster. I would just call a spade without mincing words. So therefore, but over and above that, he was a very dedicated teacher and a great teacher actually. One of the finest teachers because I have heard his talk from outside. Because they are not like I have heard the talk of CNR Rao, like that. His teaching was very high level, and he would convince the students about what he is talking. So that is a greatness of a teacher. In fact, I think most of the students did very well, and I'm quite happy that they brought this book as a tribute to a great teacher, and I appreciate that. And I hope. I don't know. I just wanted to know some family members. Did he have buy a house or take a house in Bangalore?
No, rented house.
Rented house.
Because again, I would like to tell that. I just used to tell Ramachandran and others, and even a couple of my colleagues, before he retired, he constructed a house. I told Ramachandran also, because I know my experience. If only we retire without a house, I don't have a house. I know what is the problem they are going to face for paying the rent and all that without pension. So I asked that you should think of make a buying a house or construct a house. He told that at that time he was not serious about it. But many fellows I told in the department that they should have. In fact, for Gopal, I asked immediately he constructed a house. So that because that is what I thought for future. I know what will happen. But then in fact, I asked whether he finally got a house or not. Even though other than the physics
But one
subject,
thing, he was got a 40/60 site PDA allotment was done on the basis of his outstanding excellence. So we got the PDA site allotment under outstanding excellence category. We got the site allotted the first attempt itself.
anyway, I hope I am not sold. Or we can construct a house now, at least now. If it is still the shop. I think with this remark, I think I will. I am very happy to be present here because he was a good colleague of mine. We didn't have, I told you, we didn't have any problem at all. And many times, my teachers, Gopal and others would always complain because I'm a little rash in the meeting also. And many times, Gopal would come outside. You just shout here and you will walk out happily and he'll be suffering for 8 days. Mentally. That is the way even now I function like that. But anyway, all respects to the great teacher. Very happy to be present.
Thank you very much, sir. And I must tell one thing here. Your father, Professor late Dejego, was responsible for bringing Professor G. Ramachandran to Mysore University. So we are grateful to him very much. And now I request Anuradha, who is the youngest daughter of Professor G. Ramachandran, to share some of her memories.
Good evening, everyone. Respected dignitaries and august gathering. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on this occasion. It's rather difficult to speak about my father, who was a great academician, a loving teacher, and on the whole, I can say he was a wonderful person, as words fall short to speak about his or to describe about him. I really feel proud to be a daughter of such venerated person who has touched the lives of many students. On this occasion, on behalf of all my family members, I wish to thank all his students who took the initiative to compile this book with moments of my father as a tribute to him. My heartfelt thanks to all of you. It would be an honor to look at his work in curriculums and teachings of this university. I thank Professor G. Hemant Kumar, Vice Chancellor, University of Mysore, Professor P. Venkatramaya, former Vice Chancellor, UNP University, Professor J. Shashidhar Prasad, former Vice Chancellor, University of Mysore, the Chairman and Faculty, Department of Studies in Physics, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha. She also studied in Manasangatri. She did her MSc in statistics. So, thank you very much for being with us. Now I request Professor K.S. Mallesh to share his thoughts. Mallesh was one of his PhD students, as all of you know. Sir.
Respected Vice Chancellor, my teachers, Professor P. Venkatramaya, Professor J. Shashidhar Prasad, faculty members, family members of GR, and all others who have gathered here and online. I would like to speak a few words on this occasion. In fact, I have already expressed my views in my article on Professor G.R. So those of you who read my article would know what all experiences I had. Just to pick out one from that, my own article is, if I have reached some height or if I have got some position now or whatever I am today, I think I must go with Professor G.R. He really shaped my life. So I am grateful to him. All teachers here have taught me, and in addition, with research, I also learned certain ways of learning. He taught me what is the difference between learning and knowing, what is the difference between teaching quantum mechanics and doing quantum mechanics. So all this, but once I was supposed to give a seminar, I was boasting myself that I know group theory very much. He called me to the board and I was supposed to speak on certain groups aspects. I took, so there are some pigeonholes and there are pigeons. I wrote something, he said, where is the pigeon and where is the pigeonhole and all that. I will start in the middle. Then I said, sir, I will again go back, study it and come back to it. So he taught me that. Professor Ramachandran, I think as a research scholar in Institute of Mathematical Sciences, gave lectures on quantum theory of angular momentum. His notes in the form of a book is still there. I think there are only 2 copies. One is in IMSC library. One Professor Ramachandran himself had it. It used to be cyclostyled notes written only on the right side, cyclostyled version. The left hand side was all blank. But of late, when I saw as a research scholar, all the left hand side pages were filled with many, many equations. You would find, you would flip pages and find out where is the space for this additional equation that you wanted to. So much so that that book is even referred to by many of the research scholars and teachers there in AMS. Professor Ramachandran wanted to write a book. I may say here that Professor K.N. Srinivas Rao also wrote some books. And in the preface for that book, Professor Chandrasekhar has mentioned, university teaching in India is not an easy job. It doesn't give time for the faculty members to write books because KNS also wrote it after his retirement also. So Professor Chandrasekhar was wishing that universities provide some time for faculty members who have achieved senior positions to write some books. Maybe we can expect some books from Professor Venkatramaya and also Professor Shishidhar Prasad during this time. So Professor Ramachandran also started writing 2 books. In fact, 2 of his books came, but I think the real book, his book on quantum theory of angular momentum, did not see the end of the day. I think I was told that he was writing his book, but he could not complete. I feel that in addition to whatever we have contributed here, if research scholars of Professor G. Ramachandran and all others who are very much familiar with whatever he is doing can contribute and complete the notes of Professor J. Ramachandran and bring out a book on quantum theory of angular momentum, that will be an additional very good tribute also to Professor J. Ramachandran. With this word, I thank one and all here for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mallesh. Now, I request Professor Jia's daughter-in-law, Shaila, to speak a few words.
Good evening and namaskara to all the distinguished guests, teaching fraternity, admin teams, and the organizing committee. Wholeheartedly, I thank the organizing committee for planning such a wonderful event on Professor Gia's birthday, that is 29th October. Hats off to the committee for this commendable job in collecting, compiling, editing, and finally bringing out a beautiful souvenir highlighting the life and journey of late Professor Gia's contributions to the field of theoretical physics. As a family member, I can say that he was a very dedicated and focused person. Physics was his passion, so he lived with the subject until his last breath. I remember during his last days in the hospital, all that he could ask his son was to get some papers to scribble whatever he was getting on the mind, respectively towards the physics, so that he could write down his thoughts on the subject. Today, I am so happy that I am seeing a real Guru Shishya Parampara, where his students are paying the respects of the highest order by releasing his works to the world and continue. I'm a very small person in front of the distinguished gathering to be talking about this great work or talking about this work. So once again, I'd like to thank the committee and the members for giving me such a privilege and honor.
Thank you very much, Shaila. We knew all his two sons and 4 daughters, but we didn't know her. So it's very nice to meet her for the first time here. And I thank you very much for coming here and taking part in this
His
occasion.
grandchildren also are here.
Okay.
I think we would like
So
to-
the second generation
Yes.
grandchildren are also here.
Yes,
Here.
and they have come especially to be a part of this event.
Oh,
I think we
Yeah.
should introduce them all the grandchildren, please come along.
yes, please.
You introduce all.
Hello, I'm Rishikesh. I'm the son of Anuradha, Jia's youngest daughter. This is my sister, Srishti. And this is Supriya, his son's daughter, and her brother Abhinav.
Son meaning who?
Ramakrishna.
Ramakrishna's
First
first son's daughter.
So you two stay in Mysore, these two stay in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Yes. You like to say something?
Remove the mask. Would you like to? Yeah, say a few words. It's okay. You can tell whatever you have to say. Yeah. Abhinand, would you like to say? That's okay, even if it is in Kannada, I can tell. You want to say?
JR would have been very unhappy. It's okay. You have come all the way. So thank you very much. And, thank you. Any of the faculty members of the physics department and his former colleagues? Sir, Professor C. Ranganathaya, would you like to say a few words? Professor Lokanath, would you like to share your thoughts as you were his student? So now Krishna Kumar, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, yeah, that will be an honor. But would some of the senior students of GR, like MBN Murthy or Anand, who is here, who would like to say something? Can you?
Krishna Kumar studied his PhD in Madras College.
I think
I couldn't hear that one. So could you please repeat?
I'm saying that among the online participants, one of his senior most colleagues, Professor Devanathan, is here. And I think it would be appropriate that we ask Professor
Absolutely.
Devanathan to speak a few words.
Absolutely. Professor Devanathan, would you like to say a few words? He's probably muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
Professor Devanathan, would you please unmute and say a few words? Yeah. Dr. Murthy, would you like to say?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Actually, I was thinking of saying thanks again to everyone. But let me start. So, distinguished guests, Vice Chancellor Hemant Kumar, Professor Hemant Kumar, Professor P. Venkataraman, Professor J. Shishwar, my dear friends and all my fellow students of GR, and of course his family. This is a humbling experience for me to be speaking in front of two of my revered teachers, Professor P. Venkataraman and Professor J. Shishwar. In fact, my first class in Mysore, I left the bus station and came to the university, was by Professor P. Venkataraman. And even today, I remember his board work, absolutely incredible board work. And Professor J. Shishwar Prasad actually taught for some time mathematical physics for us. And then he went to Oxford, so we had no opportunity to take courses from him. And in the presence of these teachers of mine, it's really a humbling experience to speak about Professor G. Ramachandran, who was my teacher in Masters, then research advisor, and a mentor in the initial stages of my career. I have learned many things from Professor G.R., especially this eye for rigor, which is the hallmark of the Mysore school. No matter whom you talked in the department, all the senior teachers had this quality in them. And GR was the epitome of rigor in both in teaching and in research. I always remember my time in the physics department. It was really vibrant and lively, and you could discuss with, you could walk into any lab and discuss with anyone. In fact, I used to go into the labs with my friends Shivaramu and other Somashekar and others, and talk to them about whatever they are doing. So it is really very open, vibrant, and lively department. So yeah, I'm so glad to be speaking about my teachers and especially Professor G. Ramachandran. So this book is a tribute to Professor G. Ramachandran, who inspired all of us in so many ways, directly and indirectly. As already mentioned, he was always ready to discuss physics or anything under the sun. In fact, I remember having discussions with him on parts of Indian philosophy also. His alma mater and my institute, the Institute of Mathematical Sciences, has a saying which is literally set in stone at the entrance of the building. And it says, science is best done when it is part of life. It's a way of life. Professor GR was a living example of this. And the diversity of the authors who have contributed in this volume testifies to the range of influence Professor GR had on his colleagues, students, and collaborators, and friends and family. When we, the members of the editorial group, started this project, we never expected such an enthusiastic response. What we thought would be around 150 to 200 pages has grown into something twice that size by the time all the articles came in. We have articles from the senior most colleagues to the junior most students, spanning almost half a century of research in collaboration with so many people. It is indeed a tribute to Professor G. Ramachandran. Before I conclude, I would like to, I'm grateful to many for making this possible. Professor P.V. graciously agreed to write the foreword. And I would also like to thank the Vice Chancellor for agreeing to release this book. It was indeed really nice of him to agree to release the book. Of course, my teachers, Professor P.V. and Venkatramaya, P.V. and Professor J. Shishna Prasad, graced the occasion and shared their experience. I was fortunate to have been taught by them, and we are grateful to all of them for agreeing to be part of this event. And on behalf of the editorial committee, I would like to thank all the authors for their contributions. We are late by a year because of COVID and other restrictions, but we are grateful to all of them for patiently bearing with us. And of course, we should also thank Professor Yogananda. He was a former colleague of mine. He was in IMSC. He did his PhD with a colleague of mine, Professor Balsubramaniam. And Yogananda and his team at Sriranga Digital have put together this beautiful volume, taking care of all the logistics in spite of all the difficulties. We would like to thank also the chairman and members of the Department of Physics for hosting this release function. I'd like to thank Professor JR's family for many photographs and support for this project. Would also like to thank my personal thanks to the members of the editorial committee and Professor Somashekar for sharing so many responsibilities. And lastly, I know Umesh may not like this, but I would like to make a special mention of Professor Umesh, who from the beginning shouldered the huge responsibility for this book, as convener of the editorial team. And thank you all very much. Take care and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Murthy.
Yes.
Thank you for being a part of this. He is one of the editorial committee members. Professor Devanathan. Krishna Kumar.
Yeah, I can hear you, madam.
Can you request any of the online participants?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hear that Professor A.P. Balachandran is online.
Let me confirm that.
No, he's not online.
No, I don't see him. So anyone from the online community would like to say a few words?
Okay, I am Keshavamurthy, one of his earlier students, along with Nagaraj Murthy, and I was, I think, the first batch of students of Ramachandran. And I'm very happy to see our, Mrs. Ramachandran, Sita Lakshmi, and actually it has brought me back memories of spending time with, I'm seeing his brother also. Hello, Vishwanathan, how are you? And then I saw his daughter, Devi, who is actually a replica of her father, I think. He looks exactly like her father. Kumar, you're just a small boy those days, I remember. And then,
yeah, not anymore though.
And
yeah,
Anuradha,
nice
I know,
you,
I went to Kamachi Hospital to see her, and when she was born in the hospital. That was, now the same Anuradha is now coming and talking. It's all nice for me to see. And of course, my old teachers, Professor Venkatraman and Professor Shashir Prasad, my regards to them. And of course, I have to, I am actually regret that I have not been able to contribute. I am the one fellow who has not contributed. Somehow I thought September was the deadline and I was not in a position to write anything. But surely I am seeing Professor Devanathan there. And he has got plenty of such colleagues. And some things which I might be able to share with you is that some of his characteristics of doing science at home. And I would not eat anything and then go to his home in the night because he would not let me go. I would say I have not eaten because his methods are quite unorthodox. He would get up at 12 o'clock in the morning and go on working till 4 o'clock in the morning. So these are the kinds of things, and I was quite used to sleeping at 10:30, 11 o'clock. And GR did not have, regular hours. So whenever he thought about an idea, he would pursue that to no end. And then all the time we were discussing this literature survey. As Mallesh put it, the best contribution I feel as far as a person is concerned is learning angular momentum. I don't think it was a real unique experience of learning angular momentum algebra from GR. I don't think no others taught angular momentum algebra as well as he did. In fact, some of the things mostly pertain to doing angular momentum algebra, as I realize now. But I know that we were fiddling with calculations of intermediate energy those days. I think even today, unfortunately, in India, they happen to be high energy. I don't think we have a 340 MeV beam even today. So I think that's where we are lacking. In fact, the experimental, experiments are very few and far between in India. And anyway, not the kind that we were doing calculations over. And I think Murthy might remember all these things. And of course, all the polarization studies that he was doing. And where are the measurements? This is something which I learned the hard way when I went to the other extreme end in BRC. They are all the time talking about projects and how to give data and how to use data. But anyway, he had always shown keen interest. And the way I learned reaction theories from him, in fact, he was the one who encouraged me to do, he wanted me to study, Dirac's prescription of the principal eigenvalue. And he thought that there was one more boundary condition sitting there and to get at resonances. But unfortunately, I spent 6 months then. I thought it was a waste of time, but it was never a waste of time. It has come to use to me much later in life when I have actually used it in practical applications in the atomic energy. And whenever I met him, he always showed interest in solving our problems. Actually, he was always keen to know the current problem on hand. And then he would, ask me, can we do some work? You are saying that you are doing Doppler broadening. Can we do something on that? And in fact, I remember a day when he actually wrote down the equations and how to proceed. So these are the things that I remember. And he is the one person who made me, weigh books on their own, merit. Before him, we were giving so much respect to the textbooks. Oh, Paul Roman is a great author. In fact, GR would not give any respect to the authors. He will say, in fact, I think Murthy might remember, this Moyerhead is a muddle-headed fellow, he will say. So we used to give, 6 month long, seminars on quantum electrodynamics and such. And he introduced all of them into his syllabus. I think it was a bit ambitious, I would say, at this point of time. But now I am seeing that, there was a tendency for students, in fact, the people lost interest in theoretical physics. And I was seeing that, okay, in my previous Janma, I was doing theoretical physics. That is the state I reached. But then I'm seeing a lot of interest in the recent generation. I'm very surprised. And they asked me about the concepts in nuclear physics. And even in a private university, they are actually trying to learn nuclear physics and particle physics. I'm really surprised. Maybe the wheel is turning back and maybe it is coming back. So And of course, there are many, many more things that I can talk about Ramachandran. Of course, Sheshwar Prasad mentioned about his orthodoxy. It all started with his, in IMSC days, when the big fellows visited IMSC, and the food, the kind of food that they were taking. So he just restrained himself from taking any food thereon. And of course, he used to tell us stories about how Niels Bohr ate masala dosa along with the banana leaf. That was very interesting. These kind of stories he used to tell us. So I'm seeing now. My pranams to you, Mrs. Sita Lakshmi Ramachandran. I'm very happy to see you again, and thanks to you. And she has been a very good hostess. Whenever we go, she will prepare something all the time. Whether it is night 10 o'clock or afternoon also, we used to be there in his house, and we would discuss hours and hours together. Sometimes I wish I could go out, but then GR, no way with GR. He would not let you go away so easily. So it's nice that I am able to see so many of you today, and I'm very happy to be part of it. Yes, we have gained a lot. As Murthy said, we learned the rigor, and we understand what it means to do a real problem. We can recognize one. Oh, Lata is there. Yes, I'm seeing her. Her face is not changed much. I remember, GR is one person. You talk about reserved nature of GR. I'll tell you another example. MGK Menon came. There was 1981, Indian Science Congress. And MGK Menon knew GR very well, actually. Then he wanted to ask MGK Menon for some funding. Then he discussed with us, and then he had a coat. Unfortunately, it was from his marriage. No other coat he had, and he wore that white coat. I remember. Of course, then he said, "Okay, I will meet MGK Menon." He kept all the preprints. Those days, keeping the preprints of fashion. And then finally, he developed cold feet. That was G. Ramachandran. He would never go out and meet people. I think his children can know me better than that. Then finally, we went to MGK Menon. MGK Menon said, "Oh, you're all students of G. Ramachandran. We know him very well. Okay, he can write anything, and we are in a position to give him money." But he never went and took him. And Raja Ramanna came. He discussed a lot of things on heavy ion reactions. Again, same thing. Somehow he was, he was not very good at, interacting and getting funds. But because he was a pure academic by heart, I think this is what I can say. So it's very nice. And I'm seeing Professor Devanathan. In fact, I know I have heard of this sigma, dot A, sigma dot B theorem. That theorem also I have heard how he started out in Madras, and how Aladi Ramakrishnan used to call the students all to his home in Les Church, and these kind of stories I think Professor Devanathan will be able to say. So I'm very happy and to be at least speak a few words, because memories got flooded. That's why I felt like talking today. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Vishamurthy. Professor Devanathan, would you like to speak a few words?
Hello. Well, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We are able to hear you. Please proceed.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, I learned today is a birthday, 85th birthday of G. Ramachandran. And it is very appropriate that the book dedicated to him has been released today. I am very glad to have also contributed an article to this volume.
it was with Professor G. Ramachandran that I started my research career on elementary particle physics, on elements of nuclear physics. In the late 1950s, when we commenced our research career under the guidance of Professor Alladi Ramakrishnan in the University of Madras. Earlier, Professor Alladi had done remarkable work in the field of stochastic processes using the concept of product densities known as Ramakrishnan product densities. In the year 1958, he spent a year in the Institute for Advanced Studies at Princeton, which had accelerated influence on him, and his interest shifted from stochastic processes to elementary particles and nuclear physics. It had also brought about a great change in his vision and motivated him to create such a center in India. On his return to India, he started one-year MSc course in theoretical physics, which attracted a large number of brilliant students to join the course. Soon he was promoted as professor and posted to the newly started center at Madurai, but permitted to run the MSc program at Madras. It was a nebulous situation. Since Professor Alladi had a palatial ancestral home, Egambra Nivas, in the Last Church Road in Mylapore, the classes were conducted in the spacious hall on the first floor of his house. Since elementary particles and nuclear physics were new areas of study, everyone was encouraged to give lectures on different topics. The learning process may truly be called a bootstrap mechanism. The informal group was given the name Theoretical Physics Seminar, and we started inviting the visiting scientists from abroad to give talks at the seminar. Visit to Mahabalipuram and dinner at New Woodlands were the usual way of extending the hospitality to the visiting scientists. A.M. Lane, Abdul Salam, Donald Glaser, S. Chandrasekhar were some of the distinguished scientists who gave talks at the seminar. A few of them stayed as in-house guests of Professor Alladi. They were scientists of high caliber. Donald Glaser already received the Nobel Prize for his invention of bubble chamber, and Abdul Salam and S. Chandrasekhar received the Nobel Prizes subsequently. Abdul Salam was responsible for setting up the International Center for Theoretical Physics at Trieste, which offered the opportunity for young scientists from developing countries to participate in its research activities as visiting scientists. Programs of this theoretical physics group will be found in the book that is being released today. It was a fortunate coincidence that both Niels Bohr and Abdul Salam visited Madras in January 1960. After attending the Indian Science Congress held at Bombay, and the Theoretical Physics Seminar hosted a dinner in honor of both in New Woodlands. Niels Bohr was very much impressed by the efforts of Alladi in gathering a small enthusiastic group of young theoretical physicists and communicated the same to the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, which ultimately resulted in the establishment of the Institute of Mathematical Sciences at Madras on January 3, 1962, on the pattern of Institute of Advanced Study, Princeton. At the Theoretical Physics Seminar, which was the forerunner of the Institute of Mathematical Sciences, G. Ramachandran and I gave several lectures on different topics in nuclear physics. Professor Manoj Banerjee from Calcutta University was invited by the seminar and he gave a series of lectures on angular momentum. G. Ramachandran and I found those lectures very useful since the study of nuclear physics involves a lot of angular momentum algebra. The investigations of static properties of nuclei, such as magnetic dipole moment, electric quadrupole moment, involve the calculation of matrix elements between nuclear states using the spherical harmonic. The study of dynamical properties of nuclei due to nuclear transition from one state to another as a result of interaction with the external field is more involved, since it requires the calculation of transition probability of the nucleus from one state to another, besides the evaluation of matrix elements. If the magnetic substates with the initial and final states are not observed, we need to sum over the final magnetic substates and average over the initial magnetic substates. When we started our research, the study of elementary particle reactions with nuclei was an emerging field and involved a knowledge of both elementary particle interactions and nuclear structure. Since angular momentum is a conserved quantity, in any reaction, a sound knowledge of angular momentum algebra is a prerequisite for such a study. This has motivated G. Ramachandran to publish the Math Science report on angular momentum. And later, I also wrote a textbook on angular momentum and on nuclear physics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for being with us and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you very much. Now, may I ask Anand? Anand is here. Yes. Can you hear? Can you? Yes, he has.
I'm rather shy. First of all, I really thank.
Can you?
Is it okay now?
Would you like to speak?
Can you hear me?
Anand?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anand, I think there is a bit of a delay. So from after you talk, and there is some feedback also.
Okay. It's the same problem. Is it better?
Yeah, it's much better now. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I really thank all organizers for giving this opportunity. It's a really fantastic occasion for everybody to come together to remember GR. And of course, I have contributed with a simple write-up, but this is from my heart. And I wish I had a technical contribution, but the topics and the fields since that time has changed quite a lot. So I basically would like to keep it very short. One thing is that he is basically a great inspiration.
Maybe we can mute the computer in the auditorium, so there is feedback from there, and then we. Anand, you can continue, I guess.
So basically, from my point of view, I would want to keep it very short. So basically, it's a great inspiration for me, and I think I would not have been in the direction of physics without having met GR. And not only a question of physics, it's a whole anything about the career itself. I would not have been a researcher nor an academic career without having met GR. This is 100% certain. The other part which I see many people talking about, meeting GR, continuing to talk with him on the walk back home, and then sitting and talking with him at his home. This seems to be an experience everybody has had. And I have particularly had this experience a lot, to the extent my mother once scolded me, saying that in Tamil she told me, என்னடா இவ்வளவு நாள் லேட் பண்றாளே, அவ வீட்டுல பசங்க எல்லாம் இல்லையா அவருக்கு. So to that extent, the time he spent with all the students was really remarkable. And one final word I would like to just say is that thanks both his family and also to him.
Yeah.
So we will basically, it's a great inspiration. You continue to be with us in the way we are teaching and mentoring our students. So you are always with us, GR. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Anand, thank you very, very much for being with us. And I think our Vice Chancellor wants to. Would you like to leave or no issues, sir? Okay. Okay. So. So, is there anyone, Usha or I see Professor Rajaram Nityananda? Usha, would you like to speak?
Yes, I just thought I may not be able to speak, but I think I would like to say a few things about GR. So, am I audible?
Yes, yes, Vishal, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
So, I'm very glad to see all of you, and it is evergreen memories of Mysore University, and GR's family, GR's house, all that is gushing when I am talking this. So I used to go to GR's house, stay till say 9:30, and GR would worry how I would go back. He would ask Krishna Kumar to drop me. I have gone many times. Krishna Kumar has dropped me back to hostel. So I just want to, I was with GR for around 10 years. That is my MSc and my PhD and other things. Anything that what GR taught me, I would say it is to say things precisely and to appreciate clarity. That has been driving me all through. And GR's dedication and his believing in pursuing science is a day-to-day affair that will always follow us. And what we are today, what I am today, I would owe it to GR. I remember that GR was very fond of me, and I think his family members thought all of this was like a natural process. That is, we spending time with GR, talking to GR for a long time. It's all part of GR's family. So we were all part of it, and our education came from that. And GR inspired us so much that we always think about, when I teach physics, I remember GR every day. Whenever I think of him, he's there with me. That's what I believe. And one more thing that I want to say is, in 1990s, if I think of many theoretical physicists in India and abroad, there were very few women who studied, who did their PhD with theoretical physicists. I never felt any such thing when I approached GR. There were already 4 women students, PhD students working with GR. I don't know whether it made, I didn't hesitate to ask GR, can I work with you? But I know that GR never made us feel that we are women. Many theoretical physicists prefer to choose men students, but GR didn't do it. It's We were very fortunate to that GR taught us, and it's always there with us. Thank you, GR. That's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you very much. Sorry that we are having some snacks and you can't join us, because I see CS Unikrishnan mentioning that they are all having some goodies and he's left out. Yeah. So.
No, it must be Malesh's initiative. That's what I said. When Malesh is around.
Yeah. Yes. So, Uni, would you like to speak?
Well, I'm sort of a bit of an outsider in the sense my interaction with GR was when he was in at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics after retirement. Of course, I knew many of his students much before that. My interest in interacting with GR was always the foundations of quantum mechanics, but he was, of course, he was more interested in the formal aspects, applications, and so on. But yet, we talked a bit about all this. I couldn't really explain to him what I was trying to do at that time. But today, I can, and I'm sure he would have been somewhat shocked and very excited about the developments. And this is what I wrote in that book. Now, when you write an article of this sort in a book, it goes into the book, it gets printed. But unlike artists or filmmakers who can expose their creation, book has a problem. It has a cover, and the article remains inside the cover, hidden, unless somebody opens it and reads it. So I hope people will read what is inside the cover and discuss articles, topics in the spirit of GR's enthusiasm about physics. Because only when we discuss what has gone into the book, we will do real justice to somebody like GR. Great teacher, and inspired a lot of people. As Usha Devi just said, it is very rare that anywhere in India that he train so many PhD students with rigor and utmost care regarding the topics they work on. And though I didn't know him close enough, I know that he was a remarkable man, just because this ability to train students at this very, very high level. I stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Unikrishnan. So you have been able to join us from TIFR Bombay. It's very nice of you. And I'm sure GR would have fought with you about your articles. Yes, you would have had some very good fights about your articles. So, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to
Swarna, madam, let me say a few words before we conclude.
Yes.
Can everybody hear me clear? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Hemant Kumar, Honorable former Vice Chancellor P. Venkatramaya, and Shashidhar Prasad, thank you for taking time to grace this occasion. And it's been a pleasure seeing all the student community of our dad. And we have had a long association with some of the students. And first of all, a very big thank you for GR students and colleagues for conceiving the idea of coming out with a book as a tribute to our dad, father. And over the past several months, and especially under current circumstances, I think the team has worked tirelessly to bring out this book in the current form. And a very big thank you. And we, the family, GR's family, cannot thank you enough. And about my dad, well, I think like all his students and colleagues mentioned, I think his physics and his students community was a significant part of his life. A large portion of the day would revolve around that for him. And if anybody wanted to have a nice, meaningful meeting with him, physics would be the way to go. If you want to talk about other subjects, he wouldn't be that interested in that chit-chatting. So physics was a way for him. And some of the students we have kind of seen from my childhood. I remember MBN Murthy. We all used to call them uncle and aunt when we were kids. And some of my GR students went on to become kind of our teachers. I mean, personally, Professor Malesh, Professor Vidya, and Professor Sornamala, they have taught physics when I was in college. So it has been a long association, and it's almost like a family. Like Dr. Usha Devi mentioned, that we are almost like an extended part of the family. So we are kind of used to seeing students all the time in our house, and I'm pretty sure that meant a lot to him. And as much as the students enjoyed that association, I'm pretty sure he enjoyed that. And as my father would say, it was almost like one to many and many to one relationship. So as much as the students cherished and learned from him, I'm pretty sure he learned a greater deal from all those interactions with the students. So yeah, so, and before I conclude, like someone mentioned, he was able to do all this fantastic work, and he was able to dedicate himself to physics and the students. And one constant person that's been a pillar of strength is my mom. And I know Dr. Keshamurthy and Usha mentioned about, she's always been a pillar of support for him. And I remember that not a single day she would always wait for him to have dinner. So no matter how late it got at night. So, and she is continued to be a pillar of strength for us. And yeah, and thank you very much for all of you. You have put in a great effort, and it's a real pleasure to see my professor Hemant Kumar on the dais to release this book. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you for taking time to grace this occasion. Thank you.
Murthy as one of the participants. Sharath, would you like to speak? And I also see Professor Nityananda. Sharath is here.
Yes. Can you? I hope I'm audible. I see many friends here. Many people whom I used to call uncle and sir, who have been such inspiration for me. And so I just say that Professor GR was an event. He just came like a meteor, and he brightened the whole campus of Mysore University. And even today, when I look back so fondly to this wonderful institution, what really comes to mind first is the legacy the great teachers left behind there. Professor KNS, who had been retired when I joined the university already, but I did have the good fortune of being a colleague of Professor GR. And in my article, I recounted some of the anecdotal experiences that I had. I did not have the good fortune of being his student directly. I think the loss is certainly mine. But sometimes teachers teach you and you learn from them and be inspired. Sometimes just their presence and all the folklore and the realities that form the person also is an inspiration. My small request is the following: that today we've been discussing so many anecdotes and the very multifaceted personality that was GR. Perhaps in the presence of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, I would also ask that these students who have branched out in so many places and have done very well and who recall with such great gratitude this phenomenal teacher and inspirer, maybe should have another technical workshop or a seminar talking about various ideas that have come out of GR's vast repository of knowledge. And it's also a reminder of the glory that was the physics department once. And with a hope that such glory can be restored, today we see universities sadly decaying away into non-existence almost. And it is really befitting that we remind ourselves that these were also once the homes of such great teachers as Professor GR. I'm really thankful to the whole team. I was also a bit provoking sometimes because I was in such a hurry to see the contributions, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of this, what promises to be an extremely interesting book. And I'm so happy to see so many of you here. Anand, whom I mentioned in my little article, is there, and so this is also a great opportunity for me to get back in touch with some people I've lost, but who are strong in my memory nonetheless. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Good luck. Bye.
Thank you, Sharad. Thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts. I see Professor Kiran. Would you like to speak about your association with Professor G. Ramachandran? Professor Kiran. Sir, Professor Kirangi, your phone is mute. You are on mute. Could you please unmute? Please. We can't hear you.
Kumar HTK ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು.
Krishna Kumar, can you unmute him? We can't hear him.
Yeah, I cannot unmute. He has to unmute. I'll try to do. In the meantime, in the meantime, can I request my uncle Vishwanathan to say a few words, please?
Yes,
I'll try
please.
to unmute. Yeah.
Hello.
Welcome. Yes.
This is G. Vishwanathan, younger brother of GR. And I would like to be very brief because already a lot of time has elapsed. See, my brother was a sort of a walking encyclopedia on physics. In fact, what we used to do, we used to, when I was a student in BSc and pre-university in Madras, we used to take long walks from T. Nagar, where we used to go for posting some letters, which my father used to give in the mobile post office in the evening. We used to walk up to Manapur and take a bus and come home or some other place. Good 5 kilometers kind of walk. So all the time I used to discuss with him some things which I never knew about nuclear physics and things like that. And that was a great learning experience. And, I am basically an engineer. I'm a physicist. Okay. So, Professor G, actually, when my mother passed away in 91, I went to Mysore. I was there for about 10, 12 days. So, that time I took a book on radar polarimetry. So, this book I didn't read, my brother read. So, he was so much interested because I was doing this. And he is quite familiar with the polarimetry as everybody else, like that. So he read the whole book in that time and he said he would like to participate in the radar polarimetry problem, which I was working on. So we did some collaborative work and one paper got published. And that's his interest. I mean, it's not physics, engineering involved. And one of his ambitions was to make a polarimetric radar, which could provide all the aspects. The polarimetric radar determine the shape of the object which you are tracking. And I was working on the weather aspects of the weather for studying the weather in the cloud systems to find out the hydrometeor shapes. So this paper, what we wrote, generated so much of interest that somebody from Poland wrote to me saying that he wants to use it for hard target identification. So that was his interest, and it is not just physics. It has to do with something application of physics also. He was very much involved. And of all things, I miss him greatly because he was more like a father figure to me than a brother, because our age difference was 9 years. And some of his students like Keshavamurthy and Nagarajmurthy and all these people, I used to see them. So they remember I was a very small fellow, and he used to tell me a lot of things, not only about some things about physics and also about life in general, the spirituality and all that kind of a thing, which I learned a lot. And miss him greatly. And it's great tribute that all of you have paid by participating in this event. And I'm most grateful to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, it's very nice of you to share your thoughts, your association with GR. Anyone else? Have we left? Please. Kumar is speaking.
Yeah, I think Mr. Kumar HKT has raised hand. Would you like to say a few words? Or was it by accident?
Probably.
Yeah. So, can Professor Kiranagi, can you unmute and speak if you will? Looks like he's not able to unmute. So
I think we will wind up.
Hello, now?
yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, Professor Kiranagi, we
Yeah.
can hear you now. Yeah.
Good evening to you all. Respected Vice Chancellor Professor Hemant Kumar, Professor Shashidhar Prasad, Professor Venkatramaya, and all organizing committee members. Thank you all for inviting me to talk. I rather learned quite a lot from him, especially on Lie groups. Because of him, I came to know that the study of unitary representations of Lie groups is nothing but the quantum mechanics. Rather, it inspired me much, and most of the times he used to tell me how mathematics is used. And this is how we used to discuss most of the times across the compound wall, leisurely, whatever we used to read in daily news, especially the Nobel laureates of physics and new inventions in mathematics. Always we used to discuss. And rather, I can say I got inspired more to do research on representation theory of Lie theory and took a lot of interest. And it is he who made me to attend many seminars, conferences in physics. So, and really I miss him very much. And I don't know how to express my feelings. But however, what all we discussed, you may wonder really to know that has he really discussed so much of mathematics? But actually what all we discussed, I have written, and I was about to write about Ramanujan also, but the article became little big. And then I stopped there. Perhaps if next edition comes, I will add other topics also. We used to discuss physics, mathematics, and rather in my home, we all knew him. The other name of GR is Puja in Physics and Mathematics. That is the topic I have given. Because what I really felt, I have written a few, but we discussed much more. And rather, I learned quite a lot why one should. And he used to tell me always, when once we are out of the home, we are for the society. And we should love our students and teach them not only the subject, how to behave in the society also. The main aim was make them a good citizens and good contributors, and they give something back to the society. And this is what I learned from him. And I am very much thankful to all the family members and his students. I know many of his students, and across the wall, compound wall, we used to discuss. But anyway, I am thankful to Professor Shashidhar Prasad, who made me to be his neighbor in the R11 and R10. we were together for few more years. I'm really very much thankful to all the family members, and really we lived together and learned quite a lot. And I am really happy to express, and I can say rather I started learning more and more my subject because of him. Because then only I came to know that why one should do Lee theory and especially representation. Thank you very much. I really miss him quite a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Deepak, only 2 minutes, if you don't mind.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. And my interaction with Professor GR started in a very interesting way. Actually, I had completed my BSc and I was looking for, MSc, positions, or rather, I wanted to study MSc, and therefore I had applied a few places. And then Mysore was also one of them. And but going to a different city and then staying in a hostel and boarding in a canteen was difficult for me at that time to imagine, just like GR. So I thought I would go around and then have a look at various places. And in one such occasions, I visited Mysore University and the physics department of Mysore University, when at that time, just abruptly, I just wanted to meet somebody, some teacher there. So I just bumped into Professor GR. And subsequently, although I did not really opt to study at Mysore University, that brief interaction made me feel, and feel quite comfortable with Professor GR, and he actually invited me to attend his Saturday lectures, which, as many of you have said, which would, he would go on and on for about 3 or 4 hours continuously. And this association continued further, and it continued until his last days too. So I had a lot of material to actually share, and I did manage to contribute 12 pages of the article, and it is titled Professor G. Ramachandran, a fine gentleman, inspiring teacher, and a passionate scientist. So my interaction was both academic and also at a very personal level. So, being very brief, I would like to conclude with the last paragraph of what I have written, which keeps echoing in my mind. In fact, I miss him so much that today also, when the reminder came in the Facebook that it was his birthday, and I wrote it, I typed happy birthday, sir, although he's no longer here with us. I hope he is he has received that my birthday wishes to him. Now, what I write there in the last paragraph is Professor GR achieved what an ideal teacher would have hoped for, and that is love, affection, and respect from all his students, and it keeps echoing here too. And Professor GR's students, I did not sit in his classrooms except for his Saturday lectures, but I learned a lot from him whenever I met him at his home. And in fact, we did few projects with him. He being a theoretical physicist, I being an experimental person. So we did have a lot of interesting discussions, and I had a lot of occasions to, learn from him. What I write is Professor GR students will have 1,000 reasons to remember him all their lives. And I, for one, even today, I keep saying that, still do not know why I was bestowed with his warmth, affection, and trust. And I owe Professor GR an immense depth of gratitude for everything I have received. Mentored by Professor GR, knowing him for such a long time will always remain one of the high points of my both career and life. And I sure I will continue to be inspired by his erudition, his gracefulness, and above all, as is echoed by him, by many others, above all, his silent dignity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you very much. I see that Usha saying something about Professor K.R. Parksmurthy. Is he there? Is he online?
He was online some time back, but I don't see him now.
Okay, maybe he left.
Yeah, and could Professor Nityananda?
I see him.
I'm checking 1 second. I don't see him either. So he was here. I did message him sometime back, but I don't. He probably dropped off the call.
Yeah,
If
he's not there.
yeah, if no one else is there, probably we can close the meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, I'm here for a very formal vote of thanks because we have come to the end of the program. And on behalf of the editorial committee, I thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Hemant Kumar for presiding over this function and releasing the book. I thank our beloved teacher and former Vice Chancellor of Kuvempu University, Professor V. Venkatramaya, for sharing his experience with us. Thank you very much, sir. And I express my thanks to Professor J.S. Shashidhar Prasad, former Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore, for addressing this gathering. Thank you very much, sir. And then I thank all the speakers online as well as offline for sharing their thoughts with us. And I thank GR's family members who have come from Bangalore, who have come from Mysore, and it was very nice to see you all here again, and I thank them for being with us. I thank the chairperson, teaching and non-teaching members of this department, that is Department of Studies in Physics, University of Mysore, for arranging this excellent function. Especially Professor Chandrasekhar, who spent a lot of time arranging this, and thank you very much for this. And okay, I thank all the authors who have contributed to this memorial volume on behalf of the editorial committee. I thank all the participants for attending this function in memory of one of their, most of us were his students, some of us were his colleagues and fellow researchers. I thank all the participants for being with us, and I thank the publisher of this book, Sri Lanka Digital Software Technologies Private Limited, for helping us out with this volume, and the printer, David Murthy Prakashana, for this visually pleasing and aesthetically compiled memorial volume on GR. I finally thank all those who have contributed directly or indirectly for making this program a great success. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
ಈಗ ಬಂದಿರ್ಬೇಕು
So, if the meeting is over, should I complete the call, close the call?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Krishna Kumar, thank you very much for taking care of this online meeting organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all
Very
the
nice. Nice seeing so many old friends.
Yeah, it was nice seeing all of old friends, and it was really a nice event. Yeah. Yes. So,
Thank
Kiranaki,
you.
I remember you talking. Yes.
Thank you.
I remember the TFR symposium where he was looking back at Raghunathan and with his piercing eyes, and I was shuddering to look at the board. I remember Ramanan writing some very big, statement of the theorem, and then below he wrote one sentence and said QED. Go to some space, QED, he said, he wrote. I remember that. Yes.
Okay.
So nice. Anyway, so you are exact replica of your father. In fact, I am reminded, so much of, from the beginning,
Gauri,
yes,
actually.
Devi, you always resembled. Yeah.
No, this is Gauri.
Oh, sorry, Gauri also resembles. My God.
Yeah.
Both of them
I
resemble.
forgot my helmet.
I'm getting confused.
I stayed in Mumbai.
Yeah, I know. I attended your marriage also, I think. Somewhere in Chamarajpet near, no?
Correct. In
Yes,
Bangalore.
yes.
Correct.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes. It was nice. Nice to see Vishwanathan. It was not just in 1991. Even when I was there, you were talking about your radar problem.
Yes.
I remember. even in the late 70s, 79, 80, 81, I think he was talking about. I think he was always, his main focus was polarization. As Murthy can say, he is a real polarization expert. Yes.
I'm very happy to see Nagaraj Murthy Mama, we used to call him.
Hello.
Yeah, Nagaraj Murthy Mama. Correct.
And Kiranege uncle across, as you said, across the wall.
Yeah.
Really nice to see
Very
so
happy
many.
to see all of them. Yeah, really happy.
Yeah, I remember all of you as kids. In fact, I remember probably Lata and Devi. I and Keshav, I went to the school. That's
School,
Yes.
yeah.
Good shepherd. Good shepherd.
Shepherd Convent.
Yes.
We got introduced to the teachers there, to
Yes.
Raman, and then we went
And we are so shy of meeting people, That is the correct word. Now I recollect. He never met MJK Menon. Even though Menon knew him very well.
No, actually, that was his. Rao, when I came to Madras, he asked me to go and meet him and say hello.
Yes.
So, in some sense, he thought of us students as an extension of himself.
Yeah.
So he expected us to do the things that he wanted to do.
Yes.
In fact, I remember trying to meet C.R. Rao, but I could not. But it's one of the interesting things is last, I think 2019,
Yes.
he sent me his archive, which is actually a tribute to C.R. Rao on his 100th birthday.
Yes, tremendous respect.
He wrote a review of all the work done by Mason School. It's a summary of all the work that.
Yes. Actually, I saw K.R. Parsarthi. K.R. Parsarthi, I think we missed allowing him to talk. He's a great fellow, in mathematics now. I don't know what he had to say. I was really, now I feel he should have but somehow
we tried to, actually we tried to get him to speak, but
left the meeting.
He went out of the meeting, he came back again, and then he left.
He must be pretty old. In fact, GR asked me to meet him in Delhi. When I met and he started, why carbon 12 is symmetric? I thought I had to answer the question. Actually, no. He was talking, he was thinking. The process. That was, I think Varadarajan, I think Varadarajan's quantum mechanics also used to remember how he used to go around in ISI compound and how he could not make any connection with them because he's basically a practitioner of quantum mechanics and not really, he was not much, Geometry of Quantum Mechanics is the book that Varadarajan wrote. But anyway, it is as a practitioner only you can contribute, I feel. I don't know. Much more, maybe.
Yeah. How are you, Devi? How are you, Lata?
I'm doing great. Thank you. So nice to meet all of you.
I was just recollecting how we took you both and got you admitted in Good Shepherds.
Oh,
yes.
You came to Mysore. You are both very small.
Yes. The Good Shepherd School, I also, we remember it. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, both of you, Keshavamurthy and yourself, both of you took us some days. Yeah, so we used to go with you. We used to enjoy a lot.
Yeah. We would always get, something, budgies or something whenever we were there.
Oh, yeah,
your
sure.
Mother
Yeah.
would always prepare it. Yes.
I remember your mother's Mysore Park.
Yes.
And, she knew that I liked Mysore Park, so whenever she had to give me something special, she would make Mysore Park and give me.
Yeah.
And give me in such good quantities that it was almost impossible to finish it.
That is true.
But Mysore Park was superb.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
like those Bombay biscuits, they had
Zoo biscuits.
Yes.
The animal crackers. Yeah.
Animal crackers.
We always liked them. And we used to have a few now and then. That was really nice. Anyway, I still remember, Mukhakke Mangalarti to me on Subramanya Shashti,
Yes, yeah. You were all Brahmins for lunch.
I remember that.
Actually, Keshavamurthy was the target because I used to seriously avoid all these religious things.
Yes, that is true.
Keshavamurthy and I think
Keshavamurthy Mama is always there. Even Ramakrishna used to go to Keshavamurthy's
Yeah,
house.
for
Upakarma
thing, right? For changing the.
I know. I remember.
He learned a lot from his grandfather.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. The Saraswatipuram house next to the that school.
Oh yeah.
Next to that.
Was expecting Ravi Shankar and Sandhya and the people, there was something they could not join?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I didn't see them online, but
Since it's we are just like a family, I would like to introduce my son Tarun here.
Oh, I see.
That is yes.
Varun is your
Gauri, turn some light. He is in darkness.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to turn on your light. That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Oh yes.
Nice.
These are all uncles. We used to call them uncles, my father's students. Nagaraj Murthy Mama, Keshavamurthy Mama, and all. We used to call them when we were young. So I
Anand
just
is there.
introducing
Kiranagi uncle is there. Yeah.
Uncle, Kiranagi uncle is not seen
Kiranagi
actually.
uncle was our neighbor.
Is there?
He was across the compound, but he's not seen. The camera is.
No, for us, no.
But
It was
you have
more the
multiple
older fifth main road. That was our main thing, rather than the new quarter.
I took them to that art and quarters where we were staying. My children know that. They know that.
Oh, okay.
They
Nice.
don't know about
Any of the children have taken physics?
He is a part of
very
it.
very
Electronics.
uncomfortable question to ask.
Very,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
you
why I
can do
wanted
that.
to know, because most of the children of physics people do not want to take physics. That's what I am seeing.
Grandson is taken a part of it. Electronics is done.
Okay, if you can consider electronics as part of.
But Tata used to teach him a lot. Like
Deep down, everything is physics.
Maybe to escape from him only, he would not have taken.
but they were getting caught. Whenever we go to mom's place, my father used to catch all grandchildren.
Yes,
to
yes.
teach them.
Start with
They
the
had a
basics
It's
of
not easy
vectors.
to handle grandfathers, isn't it? Very nice.
It's an uncomfortable conversation when you're being taught quantum mechanics in 6th standard.
But now
This
I'm
is
seeing a
Kirangi
trend.
uncle.
I'm actually happy.
My son.
I'm seeing students being interested in that too, particle and nuclear physics and quantum mechanics. This is a real change. I was not seeing it earlier. I was always thinking it was part of my previous janma.
No, because I think nowadays people
are getting
few
bored.
people they want to get into they're always curious because there's so much technology. So
Yes.
it's always good to confine it from one origin. So that goes into the depths of physics only.
Yeah. I'm seeing this boredom. I don't like this software. They don't like software jobs. They leave it and.
Other Krishna, Gauri, Yaro.
It's pure sciences.
Oh,
Pure
auntie.
sciences is a different.
Hello, auntie.
ಕಿರಣಿಗೆ ಆಂಟಿ ಇದೆ. Hello, auntie.
Kirangi.
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಮ್ಮ?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನೀ ಗೌರಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ನಾನು ಕೈ ಎತ್ತುತ್ತೀವಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದೇವಿ ಅವಳು ಗೌರಿ ನಾನು.
ಹೌದಾ? ಇವ್ರು ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
ನಾನು ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸನ್.
ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅಣ್ಣ
ದೊಡ್ಡವನ್ ಇದ್ದ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇವ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಕಾಲಿಂದ. ಬಂದಿದ್ದ.
Actually, Lata was called Bujji by her father.
Yes.
Correct.
Then you were called Kumsu.
I know that my uncle used to call me Kumsu. Yeah.
Okay, then
Oh my God.
There is one.
ಅಮ್ಮ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದಾರಾ?
ಅಮ್ಮ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಇದ್ರು ಅಮ್ಮ.
Amma is here too, but
Yeah, she was here. ಇವಾಗ ಲಾಗ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. No, she's there, but her camera is not on.
ಕ್ಯಾಮೆರಾ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ.
ಲತಾನಾ?
yes, that is Lata.
I want to share one information with
ಲತಾ
GR would have
ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ಯಮ್ಮ ಈಗ?
really liked.
I'm in Bangalore. I'm in Bangalore.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಾ?
Yeah, Murthy, you were saying something. Please go ahead.
No, I want to share one information which GR would have very much liked, and probably Vishwanathan also may appreciate it very much. Which is, GR was one of the founding members of my Institute of Mathematical Science.
Oh, yes.
And the first director was Alladi Ramakrishnan.
Yes.
GR was one of the first members.
Yes.
So he was earlier part of the theoretical physics seminar, which led to the Institute of Mathematical Sciences.
Yes.
Then in 1986, I joined IMSc. 87, my student joined, Professor Ravindran. V. Ravindran joined. Now he has become the director of Institute of Mathematical Sciences. So it's a circle,
Okay.
GR's grand student is the director. He's the great grand student of the first director.
It's a lineage.
Yeah, there is a lineage continuing in Institute of Mathematical Sciences.
Yeah, I remember.
GR and I are part of.
Yes.
But
very nice.
My father.
I remember GR talking about Navaratinangals. It appears some Kalai Magal at some magazine published. It appears, this mad science thing. Then it appears he used to call that sigma cross A, sigma dot sigma cross B. Ramachandran theorem, it appears he used to call. But I think he was a master of angular momentum. That's how we have learned, manipulation of angular momentum. That's how your Guruji also is coming. Actually, when it came to pure aspects, KNS was, he had more, breadth But when it comes to applications, it was GR. You are always used to like rack algebra, beginner 90 coefficients and things like that. But then I was also trying to read up Young's tableau. Then he said, of course, he was always, okay, you are studying on your own Young's tableau and group theory. So what do you want? What is your intention? Do you want to get something out of it? So you always would say, if you can't get something out of it, what's the point in doing that? Then I left doing that. But anyway, it's all, of course, almost every other day, we always have some anecdote to talk about. Always.
No, actually, today's meeting, we planned it as a meeting where all of us would meet physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of the COVID that we are not able to.
Yeah, that is true.
Correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have all been there together and maybe after the
COVID is a nightmare. Not being able to travel. I have not been to India for the last 1 year or something. And right now, I am actually just have recovered from COVID for just. Yeah. So I am. That is why I'm home today. So just this whole week I'm home.
Where are you? I mean, you are in India or outside?
I'm in Stockholm, in Sweden, in Stockholm.
Yes, this is what. That's why I'm asking this question. Looks as if Europe still has problem with COVID, whereas we don't have much of a problem here.
Are you with the University of Stockholm?
KTH Royal Institute of Technology.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Nice to see
Thank
you.
you.
Anytime.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Uncle.
Oh, thank you.
Nice to see you, Uncle.
Gauri, Lata.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
So nice to see all of you.
Kumar.
Yeah.
Even
Bye.
I never called you
Thank
Kumar
you so much,
anytime.
Uncle.
I never called you Krishna Kumar anytime. I always called you Kumar only. Okay.
Yeah, no one calls Krishna Kumar. We all call Kumar only.
Yes.
Everyone same thing.
Okay. All the best to younger generation.
Okay, thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
my namaskarams to your mother.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
We'll convey.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Fine. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay.
Okay. Should I close the call then? Anybody else wants to? Okay.
Krishna
All right.
Kumar.
Sarnamala Achar.
Yeah. Kelly.
Sarnamala is talking. Evening.
Yeah.
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ಮೇಲೂ ನೀವು ಹರಟೆ ಹೊಡಿತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ
ಹೌದು
ಅದು ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಹರಟೆ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ
ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಹರಟೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹರಟೆ ಹೊಡಿತಿದ್ದೀರಿ
I see. Okay. Yeah, we thought it was on a small laptop screen, so maybe it was projected on a projector or something. So.
ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹರಟೆ ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ
ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ದೊಡ್ಡವರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್
ಇದನ್ನ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು
ಬಟ್
Yeah, I have the recording going still. Nanu, of course, after the official part is done, adu ashtu clip ಮಾಡಿ I will upload it to the YouTube. So just for our memory, I'm recording the recording is still going on. So
ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡು ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನ.
Okay.
ಸೊ ಅವನ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾನೆ.
Okay.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ವಿಲ್ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಗೂಗಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್.
Yeah. So we can upload your Google Drive, or we can put it on YouTube.
Ata Devi.
Yeah. Hello, Swarnavala ma'am.
Good.
Yeah, nice to see you all after a very long time.
Yeah, really nice to see all of you after a long time.
I know, after so many years.
You have now changed a lot.
So many years.
You people too. You all look the same.
We want.
That's a great compliment. That's a great compliment.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜಿ ಆರ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸಾಲದು.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I lost my connectivity.
Okay, then see you all.
I miss you.
Bye.
Talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Good night.
Okay.
I will close the
Okay.
call now.
See you.
Nice
Bye.
meeting you, Shatu.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye everybody.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Bye.
you all. Bye.
Bye.
డోంట్
నువ్వు కూడా మాట్లాడావా?
వాళ్ళ లేదు అందరూ ఇప్పుడు తర్వాత మాట్లాడారు.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಲತಾ, ಚೇತನ್, ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ, ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ಇವರುಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಹಾ ರೈಟ್ ಹೌದು ಹೌದು. ಇನ್ನು ಬಾಕಿಯವರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊರಟೋದ್ರೇನೋ ಅಂತ. ರೈಟ್ ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಉಮೇಶ್ ಅವರೇ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ.
ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ತರ ಅವರೇ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್. ಮಲ್ಲೇಶ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೂತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್. Chandrasekhar.
Oh.
So he calls up in the morning. He says that very videographer barak ready idane for videographing, and he will also do the uplinking and so on. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು, late night, see, yesterday was a train in the afternoon, and that is when Krishna Kumar's thing got clicked.